think we're up. Are we up? Oh, the music cut. There we
I think
are.
we are. I think we are.
Lindsay's holding her husband's nuts.
It is a nut. It is fall.
No calls to HR, damn it.
I am HR.
This is the acorn of power.
Trust me, nobody's worse in HR issues than my wife, okay? And we owned a business together. Trust me. She is a walking HR nightmare. Anyway, welcome to Boy Meets Squirrel.
Yes,
the show
welcome.
where Lindsay plays with her nuts.
A nut. Wait, I guess 2 nuts.
So nuts is correct. That's plural.
I see people have already been in the chat before we even started. Shout outs to our boy, Country Boy. I saw Steve was just joining on. Is Maggie on?
Maggie's here.
Yeah, Maggie's on, and so is Father X.
Oh, Father X. Hey, Father X. Whole bunch of people. I love that you guys jump in the chat before we even get on. So hopefully this week will be a little bit less of a downer than the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's been brutal. But I do have an announcement to make. You're supposed to ask me, Dan, what's your announcement?
Dan, what's your announcement?
So I am back on TikTok. I made the decision over the weekend with my wife. And I went back on as of last night. So this show will not be going to it for now. We will see what happens. I don't expect my channel to survive long. I'm not going to appeal anything. It lasts however long it lasts. But yeah, I decided to go back on TikTok. And the reason is, and I was telling Curtis this before when we were before we went on air. You know, whatever you think of Charlie Kirk, I respect the fuck out of him for being willing to stand there and debate people and put himself out there, and they killed him for it. And I felt like I would, Curtis, you're all blurry. Drop out.
I don't know what happened.
Go do producer things.
Venture forth.
Venture forth.
So, you know, I mean, I've been thinking about it. I've been really struggling with it. And I know others have too. And I got angry. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm not going to let them bully me anymore. So I'm back on. And we'll see what happens.
You're living by my favorite quote. Evil prevails when good men do nothing, and you are complicit in silence. I
gave you a shout out and mentioned that quote in my video last night. I didn't tag you, though. Mostly because I didn't want you catching any hate. That's the reason.
Well, to be fair, I haven't been on TikTok yet today. I've had lots of school meetings. Why they insist on scheduling them on Wednesday, I do not know. I have told both schools that I am not available on Wednesday. We're like, how's Wednesday for you? Fine. Oh, when a woman says fine, it's never fine. Ask any married man. So, yeah, so I'm back on that. So we'll see what happens with that. I have, I don't know, 80 videos I could post in one shot. I've actually thought about doing that because I've been doing them all along on my other channels. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So anyway, enough about that crap. Another announcement quick is, guys, we are doing the prep work to be in DC in early November. So we'll be doing the show live from DC. Yours truly and my wonderful guest who plays with her nuts. Not guest, co-host, sorry. So yeah, we'll be venturing forth together on this and see what happens. So stay tuned. We'll be releasing more details. We're actually having a production meeting this week on it. So, all right, take over, Lindsay. I am once again the problem.
Man, you are fired up.
But I was asked for a topic today, and I decided to talk about invisible labor. Not only because it came up in my husband and I were talking about it. Yes, guys, I do have a husband. He is not a fictional character.
I can verify she has a husband, yes. I've met him.
And we were talking about invisible labor and how a lot of what men do is completely ignored, goes completely ignored until they don't do it the one time.
Or don't do it the right way.
Or don't do it the right way.
The right way.
The right way. And it got me to thinking, and I actually did a video on this a couple years ago, actually. I went looking for the graphic to send to Curtis so that we could have the graphic, but it didn't work out. But basically, in a nutshell, I was having a debate with someone. And I'm a master debater, by the way. Anyway.
Not touching it. Not touching it. You're my daughter. No, you don't do those things.
But they were saying that, well, women do all of the domestic chores and men don't do any of it. And I was like, okay, so let's pretend that we have a fictional family, and it takes 60 hours a week of paid labor to bring in money for the household, and it takes 30 hours a week. That's a lot, but women act like it's fucking 30 hours, like they're in the damn trenches of Normandy. It took me 8 hours to do laundry. Did you use the wash tub with the scrubbies, the board?
Even then, it wouldn't take it out.
Even then, you wouldn't take it that long. I've done laundry that way, by the way. When my washer didn't work, I was doing the step thing in the bathtub.
I so want to say something, but family show.
But I said, okay, so it takes 60 hours of paid labor to manage the household and have, all the fun stuff, pay all the bills, cover all of the fun expenses, whatever. And it takes 30 hours of domestic chores. All right, fine. So then you have to, women would have you believe that, well, I do half of the domestic, so he has to do half. And I'm like, that's not really fair. Because if he's doing 40 hours of the paid labor and we're just doing percentage, I could have gone much more in detail on who makes more money, and you could aggregate it that way. But this woman was not very good at math, so I just decided to simplify it for her. Okay. Math for dummies, girl math. And I said, all right, so 60 hours, he's doing 40, and you're doing, what is that remainder? Anyone? And she goes, 20. Okay. So you're doing 20 hours of the work, and he's doing 40 for a total of 60. That means that he should do a proportionate amount of the housework, right? She goes, yeah. I go, okay, so that means that if he's doing 50% of the housework, he's actually contributing more to the household than you are by a lot. Because not only is he putting in more financial work, but he's also putting in more domestic work for the total amount of whatever runs the household. While you were doing jack diddly squat.
Watching The View and eating bonbons.
Uh-huh. And I swear to God, her eyes crossed.
Oh, I'm sure. No doubt.
Because they never think of this before. And then she made me a response video where she was literally frothing at the mouth. And I
wish we had that. It would be fun to play it. We should start doing that. I was thinking about that, by the way. We should start downloading some videos and playing off of them, because you and I are masters at it. We can have fun with that.
But the point was that, the man's work is invisible. We are only counting the domestic work and saying that's helping with the household, but he's putting in all this financial burden as well, and he's carrying the lion's share of that. Mm-hmm. So why are we ignoring that? We're like, well, why is it only this? And then the woman got into the argument of, which they always do, of pivoted it to the mental load, which is a bogus bullshit made up term. That is the hill I will die on. It's just called being an adult, Karen. All the stuff you think about, it's just called being an adult. Or anxiety. It could also be called anxiety, which that's your own damn problem, because I do that too.
Well, probably too much Tylenol when their mom was having.
You should only have mimosas on special occasions, not every day.
Especially when you're pregnant. Anyway.
But I lost my train of thought. The nut fell off the tree.
Oh, shit. Here we go. I haven't said a word. You can't blame me this time. I'm just sitting back enjoying this.
Somebody help me.
Look at the wheel spinning. Look
hamsters.
At it just spinning and spinning. I don't know where you were going, so I can't help you. You were talking about the mental load, and then you went off somewhere. I don't know.
Yes. So we're talking about, the made up mental load that the women carry. And first of all, the mental load is typically self-imposed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I had that conversation with my wife this weekend.
And they were talking about, well, women, but the reason why they brought up the mental load is they were talking about, well, women's labor is invisible. Said, no, the fuck it's not, because we won't shut up about it. It's everywhere. I do this. I do the mental load. I have to remember this. I have to remember that. It's all over social media. Women's work is not invisible. In fact, if a man tried to think it was invisible, you would come up after him with a baseball bat going, see what I put up with. Men, on the other hand, don't brag about the 60 million things they did in one day, none of which were actually on the docket. I was talking to one of the ladies up at the bus stop, and when I say talking, I mean I was standing there listening, as they bitch about their husbands.
Oh, those are always fun. I love those.
Well, it's always fun for me because I go up, I take my kid up to the bus stop in the morning, and there's a circle jerk of women around. I know that doesn't really apply to women, but they sit there and they talk and they bitch about their husbands and whatnot, and then they all turn to me expectantly, like I'm supposed to join in, and I go, my husband's great. I mean, have you ever just considered that your choice in partner sucks? That never goes over well.
Oh, no.
But this idea that women think that, oh, we do so much more labor and we carry this, we carry the household on our back and it's all invisible and women's work goes unappreciated is fucking utter bullshit. Like, women want today to be lauded, especially even if they're working women, they want to be lauded like they're 1950s housewives, or even before that, when running a household was a 24/7 job, like back in the ye old pioneer days when you had to hike to go get water from the well. Little Timmy has fallen down the well. That's not true anymore. That's not true anymore.
I'm just going to sit here and let you go. I'm having a ball with this.
But it always...
Preach it, sister, preach it.
It always infuriates me because you see women that they ignore what their husbands do contribute, or the men in their lives do contribute. Even their sons will mow the yard and they'll just take it for granted that they do that. But you don't do it one time and you never help. You never do anything.
Well, I mean, you talk about mowing the lawn, right? The classic comeback they have, well, that's only once a week. Yeah, and it takes 2 hours. I don't know about you, but loading and unloading a dishwasher, on an average day, I can do it in 5 fucking minutes.
But not only does it take 2 hours, it takes 2 hours in the hot, well, at least where I live, hot Texas heat,
too, yeah,
which is staying on the porch hot.
But, to them, they count the time the machine's running. No, it does take 5 minutes to load dishwasher. It takes 2.5 hours. No, it doesn't. You use Karen. I use Becky. Because you're sitting on the couch watching The View, getting your ass even fatter than it already is, eating bonbons, and posting TikTok videos while the machine's running. So stop. And they get so mad at me when I point that out. It's like, because and you know this, I've pointed out many times, I was a stay-at-home for just under 2 years. It was the easiest time of my life, man. By 10 a.m., I had everything done, and I have 6 kids to take care of. And they got home cooked meals. They got, snacks were ready when they came home from school. The house was freaking immaculate. I had no problem. And it was 2 hours a day, max.
So what I enjoy is they always tell me, well, you don't know. And I always clap back with, I actually do the job you claim to do, and I do it better than you do it. And if anyone doubts my credentials, my grandmother was born in 1917, and she went to Texas University for Women and majored in home economics. She then taught it for 40 years, back before they kicked it out of high school. And it was a required course for both men and women. I learned how to keep house from her. You run it like a business. But if you're like a manager on a busy night in a restaurant, but it's not that difficult. It's really not. And before anyone asks, I've actually used home management skills on a job application and gotten hired.
I've hired people because of that.
So the people who say, well, you give up your career. No, Brittany, you didn't give up your career. You just changed career.
Now we're on Brittany. Okay. Changing names here.
Well, there's different generations of them. Okay, but I always love when they try to convince me that the job I do is so hard. I'm like, that's like pretending you're an engineer, explaining to an actual engineer how engineering is so difficult, or how this is, so difficult. And all while what men do contribute goes completely unnoticed. And I made a video about this not too long ago. We were talking about the mental load, and I could have responded back any way, but I said, let me walk you through a mental load day of my husband and what he has to think of when he's on the clock. Since you're going to call the home, you're on the clock. Let's talk about what my husband does when he's on the clock. He's in charge of a plane that could level a city block if someone crashes it. Arguably, he has far more to do, not only when he's actually doing the job, but then when he's running the simulator that trains the engineers and the pilots how to fly the plane. I couldn't do what he does. And you want to sit there and complain that men don't have a mental load. Yes, they do. You just don't see it because it's not female or mom shaped. Therefore, it's invisible to you. And that's
Well, it also, they don't count it. It doesn't count as work. Oh, that's just, he's up in a plane. He's enjoying himself. No, he's got a Moab parked in the back and he's about to go over Fallujah and drop it. His life's in danger, but I know that counts. I'm exaggerating for effect, but they don't count any of that. Like I said, they don't count mowing the lawn. They don't count anything that men do. It's only what they do. And when you start looking at it that way, of course you're always going to be the victim and struggling because you don't count anything.
Well, I'll tell you this: close air support's it's a wonderful thing if you're under heavy fire. You don't want a Moab dropped above your head.
Well, I'm just saying, I was using that for a fact.
Hot brass, as much as it burns, falling down on you, I take it as opposed to getting shredded by the DU or the lead that they're using on the other side.
Yeah, when an A10 comes in, burn. Love that sound. Best sound ever.
Yep.
I was at an air show once where they did a demo with that. Oh God, I will never forget that. Never forget it. And it was not live fire, obviously. So they had blanks in it somehow. I don't know how they do it, but what a sound, man. And he was 200 feet off the ground. But anyway, I digress. But getting back to your topic, it's something that, it's funny because I was having a similar conversation with my wife over the weekend because the house was clean. I mean, I'm the one that's home all the time. It's not immaculate right this moment, but generally I have my routines and the house is clean. And she's like, Saturday, I got nothing to do. And then the clown show started, right? Or in your case, the squirrel started running in its wheel. And she was looking for things to do because she couldn't stand the fact that it was all done. And that's not in a negative. I don't mean that in any way, shape, or form in a negative way. But she was like, I can't not think about it. And that goes directly to the mental load. She was creating a mental load where one didn't need to exist. I'm like, sit down and relax. Go tan. Let's go to the beach. Whatever you want to do, right? She couldn't do it because I was training people at that time. So she had a couple of hours where, I'm doing my job and she didn't have to do anything and she couldn't handle it. She said herself, the clowns are running around in my head. And I'm like, you're creating your own mental stress over nothing because everything's done. And that speaks directly to this mental load thing they have. They invent things to be upset about.
So I write down what I need to do. I wrote up a schedule for how to keep the house to my standard, which it's my standard, not my husband's standard. That because it's my standard, I'm in charge of keeping it there. And if it falls below my standard, I have no one to blame but myself. And crap.
Have her learn origami. She couldn't handle it. Sorry.
You gotta stop reading the chat. You gotta stay on task.
I am able to multitask. And I'm the male. The female
Because
is the one
I
struggling.
knew she dropped her nut as soon as she read the origami comment.
I know.
I was like, really?
Focus, grasshopper. Squirrely girl. We're going to get a snort out of her yet. I'm waiting.
Okay, mental load. I'm going through the mental load and
I don't know.
man.
Where
Oh, the list.
the list. The list.
Check it twice. And that's all I have to do in a given day. I will often find myself adding stuff to the list.
Is it stuff that needs to be done, though?
Typically,
Or- Go ahead.
typically yes, but at the same time, also no. Like, I'll have something scheduled. I have monthly projects for things that, maintenance upkeep that has to be done, monthly. Clean out the oven, that sort of stuff, put on an oven clean cycle, and then sweep out all of the ash, stuff like that.
Oh, you
Drain.
mean you don't sit there and hand scrub it like all the women claim they do?
No. Work smarter, not harder. I have a scrubber thing that I stick on the end of a power drill. Boy, does that thing work. Zzz.
You do the little Mr. Scrubby thing, the face thing?
No.
I got in trouble because I ruined one cleaning my smoker. So I have to go buy a new one. Thanks for reminding me. I forgot about that. Go ahead. And I did ruin it. It was all my fault. I admit it. But my smoker, looking good. Anyway.
But when I'm done with the list, sometimes I'll look over to the next day or the next day, which is also proof, by the way, that there is plenty of hours in the day, and that if it takes you 24/7 to do your job, to clean the house, you're doing it wrong. Because I'll finish in like
No shit.
2 hours
Yeah.
of the actual work I have to do, and then run out of jobs.
I do everything in this house in about a half hour a day. Now, it's just the two of us, no kids, right? And we're both not neat freaks, but very clean. 2 hours a week, maybe 3, but it's about a half hour a day, give or take, because I don't do it on the weekends, right? So it ain't that hard. And like I said, when I had 6 kids in a much bigger house, literally 4 times the size of this one, you get it down to a science. I had Monday was this. Like right now, Monday is wash day. So the first thing I do in the morning is my laundry. Tuesday is vacuum and wipe down a couple of the bathrooms or clean the bathrooms. Wednesday is the living room. Thursday is vacuum again because I vacuum 3 times a week because you have to here because of the beach. And I just go and do them. I don't even think about it. I don't have to think about it. It's just like you. It's my list, right? I clean the air filter on the furnace every couple of weeks. I do the oven. I'm not like you. I do it about every 6 weeks or so. But we don't use the oven a lot either. So, but I go and I push a button, and then I come out here and make videos while the oven cleans. But I guess I should count the 2.5 hours it runs to clean. Is that because that's what they do?
Well, I mean, the biggest part of is folding and putting up laundry, but even that is down to pretty much a science. I put a podcast in or something. I'm listening to you more often than not.
I know you do. That's why I know you're doing laundry because I get texts, although it's been a while. But
and then do it that way. My house stays pretty much, the downstairs stays almost immaculate. Everything has its place. I know it looks like I'm a pack rat, but all of that is
it's an organized pack.
It's an organized mess. You should see the garage.
Did she just take a shot at her husband?
No, that's all me.
Oh, it's all you. Okay.
My husband does like 2 things, and it's all by choice, and because I don't actually have the skill to use the weed whacker.
Oh, you're one of them. Yeah, I had to forbid my ex-wife from using the weed whacker because there wasn't a time she used it where she didn't hit her legs. No, we're done with that. I got it.
Oh no, we had one that I could use, but then my husband bought one that I can't handle. I can't handle big things like that. It's his job. So but I also asked him. I also said, okay, because he works a lot. My husband has had 2 days off in the last month between the 2 jobs, between going to work for his civilian job and then his Air Force job. and the lawn didn't get done. So I told him either buy me the equipment so I can do it myself, or do it on your day, whatever day you have. But I don't necessarily want him to do it on his day off because he works his ass off for us all the time. So I would rather him just go, let me buy the lawnmower so that I can mow the yard.
Well, Mark just said it. It's an interesting comment. Women fold clothes better than men. It's a fact. I actually agree with him, right? But here's the caveat. Who gives a shit? I mean, okay, my wife is way better at folding clothes than I am. Guess what? I fold my clothes. She folds hers. Hers are all nice, neat, and tidy and take her 2 hours. Mine are folded in the drawer in about, 3 minutes. I'm more efficient. Are they perfectly squared up? It's like wrapping a gift for her, okay? And she can fit more in the drawer than I can. We've had this conversation, I don't know how many times. I don't give a shit. Is the shirt folded in the drawer? Is it put away? Yes, I'm good. And that's the difference. It speaks to men and women, right? You guys are obsessed whether the towel's folded just fucking right. Who cares?
Well, I also think it comes down to preference. You can either have things done your way, or you can have help. And women will set the standard of, this is my standard, but I don't remember your husband agreeing to that standard. So either
That's
you are
your standard.
That's your standard. So either you're in charge. That's why I said my standard of cleanliness is my own responsibility, and if I dip below that, it's no one's fault but my own. So I understand this. My level of cleanliness with my OCD is different than my husband's, and sometimes our OCDs clash. That's always fun.
That happens in every marriage too, though.
But that's my responsibility, and if I want it done a certain way, then I don't get to dictate my way to him. And I actually made another video because I talk about this topic a lot, because again, I do the job that so many of these women claim they do, and they don't. I've been to their houses. I walk into their house, my toes get eaten by mutant dust bunnies that are so big that they owe them rent. And they're like, you don't understand. I'm like, I own a husky. Trust me, I understand dust bunnies.
I'll share a story. So a friend of mine is a property manager in our area. So he just had to evict a single mother.
Oh, God.
With, I think she had 3 kids. He sent me the pictures of the inside of that house. It was disgusting, doesn't even cover it. To the point they're having to rip out every carpet, paint every wall, the whole thing. And I'm like, she was making TikTok videos talking about how hard it was for her, And I'm like, good Lord. How can you live in that kind of filth to begin with? And 2, how do you let kids live in that, right?
Well, ironically enough, when I was working retail, we got more calls. You would think that the women's bathroom would be immaculate and the men's bathroom would be no.
So when I owned the gym, right, we had a landlord. And we cleaned the bathrooms, or actually we had someone come in and clean them. But he used to bitch at us all the time because he constantly had to snake out the drains in the women's room. And they would, like the cleaners that will tell you universally, women's bathrooms are far worse than men's. Far worse. But then they like to shove things in the toilet and flush them. And he was showing me one time, he's snaking it out and he's pulling one right after another. That's disgusting. I mean, come on. Don't moms teach you how to fold them and put them away to use the towel spun? I mean, spare me that women clean. Okay, they don't.
I like the videos where the women are making fun of the women who partner shame their husbands, going, look, he left his toothbrush out, and they pan to their side.
Yeah, I know.
Their side of the sink, which is covered in makeup and all this stuff. Yeah. But I mean, it's true. And then when the guy does do something, like my husband the other day, I came home. I'd gone out to do some errands. I came back, and my husband very gleefully told me that I did the dishes. And
Because you didn't acknowledge it.
well, no, I always acknowledge when
I
he
know
does the
you do.
dishes.
I'm busting your chops.
Um,
Because most women don't.
but if he doesn't tell me, sometimes I just don't notice that it got done, and or by who, because I do have two little boys in the house. They'd help me do dishes, so I was like, just tell me who did it, so that I can thank them. Um, but then I also do this wonderful thing with my husband where every so often I tell him, have I told you lately that I'm proud of you? Have I told you lately that I appreciate you? Have I told you lately that I love you and I'm, so thankful for what you do for us? And I do it in front of my children so that they see this is what women are supposed to say to their spouse.
Boy, are you setting up for a big disappointment when they get older? Because it ain't gonna happen.
But they will at least know that it can happen. It's supposed to happen. I certainly never saw my mother do that for my father, and my father worked hard too. Not only did he work in a physically laborious job, but he also built a deck in the summer in Texas on his days off. So he would go to work for 8-9 hours in a unventilated garage, a mechanic shop, a dealership in Texas during the summer, and then he would come home and work outside until it got dark. And I don't think my mother thanked him once. She just expected him to do it. And she would talk about, oh, well, I do all this inside. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not augering and not using an auger to dig holes in the backyard or going and getting lumber or going around to all of the different Home Depots to pick the best boards that aren't warped. Like, you're not doing that. You're pushing a button or doing the laundry. And even then, my brother and I did our own laundry. So, this idea that men don't help, and then if they do help, they either do it wrong, which the video that I made is I said, usually, typically within a certain age bracket, the people who taught you how to do a task, the men were taught to do a task by their mother. So I dare you to go up to your mother-in-law or your
I
boyfriend's
remember you
mother
did a couple videos on that.
and tell her that you taught him wrong.
Yeah.
See how well that goes over.
They wouldn't dare.
They wouldn't dare. It's like, who decided that your standard was the way to go? You live in a, and I always respond with, you all live in a partnership. It's supposed to be a partnership, not a dictatorship. But you want to dictate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, my wife does some things different than I do, like fold the laundry, for example, or even doing the laundry. I do it different than she does. We don't fight about it. She does her laundry, I do mine. Period. End of issue. Right? Why is it so freaking hard? Okay, you don't like the way your husband does laundry? Do your own laundry. Let him do his. Problem solved. But no, we got to make TikTok videos bitching and moaning about the man we claim we love and support, trying to put him down and trash him so that the coven will give us lots of clicks and likes. And that's, it goes to this whole dynamic. Like, you're talking about how you thank your husband and all that. And I know you do because I've seen you do it, right? Even here when you came to visit.
He said coven.
Okay. I say coven all the time. Why is it?
So what?
Why is that a surprise? I'm like, okay.
So one, it was ironic that it was a Wordle word this last week, and two, you're right on the money with that one.
Oh, it is a coven. It's all about street cred for the women, right? Who can be the biggest victim? That's really what we're talking about, right? It's like you were talking about earlier. They all get together in their little clucking hen clutches, right? And try and outdo each other by trashing their husbands. And I used to run small group training classes, which were almost universally women, and they would all do it. And every once in a while, I would sit there and go, does your husband know you say these things? Well, no. Maybe he should. Oh, I'm just having fun. No. You're trashing your husband in front of a whole group of people. And, I wasn't quite that blunt with it because they were clients, but every once in a while it would hit home with them, but they do it without even thinking. It's all about, well, my husband doesn't do dishes. Well, mine doesn't do laundry. Well, mine doesn't blah, 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 right? Who can be the biggest victim? That's all it's about. And
Yes, but my question when I see women, large groups of women do this, I always ask, wait, I thought you wanted to empower women. How is this empowering women? You want to be a victim at the slightest inconvenience
Yes,
because
that's
what?
empowerment to them. That's empowerment to them. All right, do the quick like, share, do your little heart thing. All right, we are about a half, well, actually, we're a little more than half hour in. So if you haven't already, give us the like, thumbs up, depending on which platform you're on. Don't forget to share this because we're trying to spread the word. And if you haven't fucking subscribed, what the goddamn hell are you waiting for? I'm going to go all Gunnery Sergeant Hartman one of these days. So whatever platform you're on, make sure you subscribe, like, all that good stuff. All right, back to what you were saying. Go.
How tall are you? I didn't know they could stack.
Yeah, one of my favorite all time movies. I still watch it every once in a while.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lindsay. I threw it back to you.
Um,
She's going. Who's Gunnery Sergeant Hartman?
I'll have to just go look it up then.
You don't know who Gunnery Sergeant Hartman is.
No.
Your husband has failed you. Tell him he is a failure as a husband.
You can call him and tell him that.
I will. I will. He needs to make you sit down and watch that movie tonight. Just the first half. Because once they get out of boot camp, the rest of it's garbage. But
Actually, tonight we're going to start our children on the first episode of SG1. That's the plan.
oh boy. Anyway, so Dee's just said Film Industry Watch just released an article titled Cinema's Formula for Awards and Festivals, the Humiliation and Vilification of Men. I am going to have to go look for that. That would be very interesting to read. Because again, germane to our topic is how, when you see things like movies,
The dads are always bumbling fucking morons.
right, and they do nothing. They sit around watching, drinking beer and watching football. I had a Homer Simpson shirt on earlier today because I was making more than one video. When you see that, them portray men that way, and it just feeds into the female victimhood.
Well, my question to women who constantly complain about their husband is you make it sound like this man couldn't, boil water without setting something on fire. If he's really that incompetent, why the fuck did you marry him? Why?
Yeah, clearly you don't love him.
Clearly you don't love him because you wouldn't want to humiliate someone that you did love.
If you loved him and respected him, you wouldn't be saying the things you are. So clearly, and they get really, really mad when you do that one on them. Oh, I love my husband. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
And you certainly don't respect him because you're trashing him behind his back. How would you feel if all your girlfriends here, when they leave here, go and trash your husband behind their back? Because at one time they were doing the, who has the worst husband? Who's the most whiniest husband when he gets a cold or a hangnail? And I'm like, you ladies have no idea. We don't tell you when we're sick because we know what you're going to say. We'll go to work with a 103-degree temperature. I've done it so many times, and nobody knows. I'm dying.
Well, typically speaking, when my husband has a cold and he's home, his cold is my sniffles.
Yeah,
he won't stay home
until it's too much to bear. And then, if he's home, there's a reason he's home. It's that bad.
And because my husband's in the military, he likes to tell me that he's allowed to call in dead. That's about it. And even then it's iffy. So if he's home because he's sick, it's because he has like 102-degree fever or something. And women say that, men make a big deal when they're sick. Yeah, because they don't stay home sick until they're sick.
We also don't go to the doctor unless we
absolutely have to.
Because we know if we do, we're going to hear about it. Oh, you're such a pussy. You went to the doctor. We're not going to hear about it from other guys. We're going to hear about it from women.
And then women, however, will say, oh, I have to cancel all my plans because I just don't feel well. Okay, do you just not feel well or you just don't want to deal with people? Because that's two different things. Like, I will sit there and say, I'm peopled out for the day. I need to cancel my plans because I'm not a little pussy who will blame. I don't have it. And I hate using, I have a headache. I hate using the.
I'm not touching that one. You're my daughter. You don't have that problem. You don't do those things.
But I don't think I have ever actually used the excuse, I have a headache, except once. I had a migraine, and I still refused to use I have a headache. But my husband, Mr. Squirrely, is standing in the doorway, grinning despite my pain as I lie there in agony. And he goes, "So you're telling me you have a headache?" And I think I picked up the closest. I think I picked up the glass next to me and I threw it at him.
Fair game at that point.
Well, he also a certain time every month likes to chunk chocolate at me and tell me that the offering has been made to the demons. Cthulhu has been fed.
Yeah, it's like, and we're gonna keep it family friendly. I want to go down that rabbit hole, but we're not going to. But again, it speaks to how we've talked about this all the time.
Thank you.
Women will never acknowledge or appreciate anything men do, whether it's housework, whether it's being sick, and going to work when you're ready to die, all that stuff. They just will never acknowledge any of it. So every time I hear a woman putting her husband down or demeaning him or playing victim mode, she's basically saying, I don't acknowledge anything my husband does, and I certainly don't appreciate him. I don't respect him, and my argument is you don't love him. So just let him walk now, because if it's the ultimate disrespect to a man to talk about him behind his back. That's women things, right? You all trash each other behind your backs. I mean, it is mind-boggling, having dealt with groups of women for 50 years, right? I remember the rowing club, and we would be, we'd drive for 4 hours, and they would just trash their husbands. And I'm like, y'all claim to love your husbands, but clearly you don't. Because why would you do that? Well, I know why they're doing it. It's all about street cred, right? Who can be the biggest victim?
And in many cases, because I typically have more male friends than female friends for exactly that reason, because I'm usually the person they're talking about behind my back. A lot of the time, the women will exaggerate how bad their husbands are. No.
Oh,
women exaggerating?
Now, Lindsay, come on. I'm going to have to call you out on that one. Come on. No woman has ever exaggerated or lied in the history of mankind. Stop already.
So I remember one, I was sitting there.
Next, you're going to tell us they make videos that they're lying in.
So I watched.
Sorry,
I watched. I was at a friend's house, and her daughter was making a TikTok. So I was at a friend's house, and the daughter comes downstairs with a big thing of laundry and starts dropping clothes everywhere. And her mother and her mother was getting ready to open her mouth. Like, what are you doing? I said, wait. If she's doing what I think she's doing, shh, I want to see her do it. Oh, wait for it. So she's making a mess on purpose. And then she's going to make a TikTok video about how messy her boyfriend, that she doesn't even have, is. I waited until she was filming to scream at her.
What are you saying, Lindsay? Oh, those TikTok videos aren't true? Come on. I mean, come on. They're all true. Women would do.
Women would never lie.
They're all sugar and spice and everything nice. The fact of the matter, like Duck just stole my thing, right? The only, you always bust on us that we lie about the size of certain things. We don't even compare to what you guys exaggerate on. I mean, it is mind-blowing. And they are. Most of the influencers out there
it's
are
all
doing
staged
stuff
anyway.
It is all staged. All of it, right? And yet people believe it's true. And
I'm always skeptical when I see those videos because, one, I know you can't believe everything on the internet. That's a quote from Abraham Lincoln.
I thought it was Washington. Oh, well.
And I always want to say, okay, show me the rest of the house. Because you're usually showing me like one little section of the house. What's the rest of it look like? And how much of this is yours? They'll be like, look at all his shoes everywhere. I'm like, I don't think your husband wears a size 8.5 heel, but if he does, I bet his calves look amazing.
Not that there's anything wrong with
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but at least 5 of those shoes are yours. And there's just the thing that you don't try and purposely hurt, badmouth, or shame the person you claim to love. I would never, ever say something bad about my husband, no matter how angry I was on the internet. I might vent to a friend, and I might tell, if I have one friend that I vent to, and she vents at me, but we also brag about our husbands constantly. And we would never, ever, 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 ever shout it at the rooftops or talk about it in like a public place where someone might overhear us. And we usually preface this conversation with, I need to vent. Or I, in my case, usually preface this with, tell me if I'm being unreasonable. And sometimes I
Yes.
am being unreasonable.
Yes. I have told you that before. You know that.
Yes, you have. And I appreciate for it, because you know what? I would rather have someone care enough about me to tell me when I'm doing something that is detrimental to any number of my relationships
Yeah.
than.
There was a one time you did reach out to me with a question about something with you and your. I don't remember what it was, and you started it with, "Tell me if I'm being unreasonable," and you were totally respectful to him. You didn't put him down in any way, but you were quotes venting, and then I told you to shut the fuck up, and basically that was it, right? Uh, I mean, in a nutshell. But it goes back to what part of the problem is. This is men's fault too, right? We're making it seem like it's all on the women. No, it's our fault because we allow it, right? We allow them to do these things. Personally, if I and she doesn't, I'm not saying she might not joke around, but my wife does not put me down behind my back because she knows if I found out she was doing it, see ya, I'm done, and it's one and done. I will not tolerate. I had a wife who did that. Oh hell no, 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 no. Right? You disrespect me, I will cut you off so fast, and there is no coming back. None. And that's what we all need to start doing. Right? Is stop trying to play nice. We found out with, not to go down this hole too much, but we found out what playing nice did a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago today, when someone was trying to play nice and got killed for it. No, we're done playing nice. Men need to stop tolerating this crap.
Well, the you can try it back to economic. The market will bear what someone is willing to pay. And the same is true of this. Women will continue to do what the men let them get away with. Or parents. If you
And they
allow
themselves are
and they
allowing each
themselves
other
are
to do it.
allowing
Yeah.
each other to do that. I will maintain, ladies, that if I call you out on your bad behavior, I have not internalized my misogyny.
You're just a pick me.
My shirt finally came in the mail that said the original pick me on it.
Oh, you got it. Why are you wearing it?
Because I wasn't thinking about it. I also don't believe in changing clothes 86 times a day. This isn't Edwardian England.
Hello, when you're making videos, you got to do that sometimes.
That's a special.
Speaking of shirts on the floor, I had about 5 of them stacked the other day because I was making video after video. But, it's we men need to stop tolerating this, and we need to set that expectation and then communicate it, and then other women need to run with it amongst themselves. Because if you want a happy, healthy relationship, there is no way you can have one, in my opinion, if you're out trashing your spouse behind their back. You can't, because you don't respect them. And once the respect is gone, there's nothing else. I don't care how much you claim to love someone. You do not love someone if you're trashing them. If you can't say it in front of them. Now, my wife will say things in front of me to other people, and I laugh because she's joking and I know it, right? That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when they're being vindictive about it or trying to get credit with the coven.
Vindictive, malicious, or they exaggerate or they stage something, or you can usually generally tell, as women, we can tell when someone is venting frustration, and when someone is trying to dog someone, and I call them out on it or I leave.
I'm going to call you out on that because I disagree. And I'll give you a specific example. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, okay? All the women that are online trashing their ex-husbands, who get comment after comment. Nobody ever says a word.
I do.
Nobody. I know you know what I mean, because I have put out. I was tracking it for a while. I lost count at about 4,000. I have challenged these women over and over again. Okay, if everything you're saying about your ex is true, let me talk to him. Let me get his side of the opinion.
Well,
I will talk to him privately about it. Right?
mhm.
Oh, no. I have yet to have a woman, not one, in all the years I've done that, be willing to give up her ex's info because they don't want his side out. So if that's all true, why are all the women universally agreeing with her instead of calling her out? That's my point.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say, that women they typically know when someone's venting and when someone's lying. The problem is they will double down and protect the lie over
Okay. That's
calling
why.
them out, which I don't like, because so women will sit there and say, well, the good men need to hold the bad men accountable and call them out. Men
Yeah.
do that. Men do that constantly. You know who doesn't do that shit? Women. And you know why you think that the men don't? Because you're projecting what women do onto men. Good men, first of all, they don't typically associate themselves with bad men. And if they see a bad man doing something, they're usually the first person, either online or in person, to call that man out
But we
or
do
deck
it.
him.
We do it privately. See,
True.
that's what women don't understand is, if we see a guy doing something that, I'm not talking about a crime or anything, but something like if a guy is trashing his wife, we will privately tell him to shut the fuck up. Right? We're not going to go on TikTok and make a video about it.
Well, that's another thing that women seem to think, and I don't understand why they do this, other than they're looking for attention. Is that if it doesn't happen publicly,
It doesn't
it
happen.
doesn't happen. And we're back to invisible labor. If it doesn't happen publicly in the sphere where everyone can see, it doesn't exist.
Right. And just to piggyback on what Dan was saying, people wonder why the military is so successful and such a great place to work, and where you can get 18 to 22-year-old kids, and I say kids lovingly, to make 25 to 35,000 a year to run into a hail of bullets and be willing to do it, is because of the culture we set up. And I will say that culture is the culture of men and masculinity that we set up there, where we foster a family-like feel.
Brotherhood.
It is a brotherhood.
It's a brotherhood.
And the biggest thing that I will tell you is we handle everything at the lowest level possible. What happens in house stays in house. You want to see like why there's not a metric F ton of like controversy coming out of the military? It's because we police our own, and we are very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Just my take.
Blanket parties are a thing when necessary, right?
No comment.
No, they don't happen anymore.
Well, it comes back to accountability, and the fact that accountability is kryptonite to the modern women. I've been saying that for years and years and years and years and years. And if you try, and this is the back to good women holding bad women accountable. If a good man holds a bad man accountable, it's expected or, praised or whatever. If a good woman like myself or Sarah Eaton or what's Maddie from the anti-alienation project.
She's on my mind right now because I got to reach out to her.
If we hold a bad woman accountable for her individual bad actions, suddenly we're a traitor to the whole gender, because the coven matters more, the collective, than the individual, which is stupid, by the way. Absolutely ridiculous.
But it's the difference between men and women.
But women didn't.
I don't know that I would call it stupid, Lindsay. I think it's more biological than stupid.
True.
Because, there's an element of stupidity to it. I will grant that. But, as we evolved, men were out on the hunt. they police things there, and they didn't bring it back to the woman folk, right? To be really sexist about it. Women folk were all together all the time. So they formed their own quote unquote sub tribe within the main tribe. So I
I
think
guess
that is a difference.
I guess
And-
technically speaking, it is the needs of the many versus the needs of the few. But the many that they have defined it, they're upholding the wrong morals. Because it used to be, anthropologically speaking, you are correct. Women have always had far more social power than men have. And they kind of set the morals for a generation or a town or any social organism, which is a society, a township, anything. The problem is that the women today are upholding the wrong values. We
Well,
have been brainwashed.
it's feminism. So what you're talking about is what controls society right now. Feminism. It's not. There's no patriarchy. It's feminism. It's not even a matriarchy. It's feminism, right? And it's exactly what you're talking about. They've controlled how society has gone for 50 years now. And look where we are. Which, again, I lay some of the blame on us guys. We allowed it. And I'm as guilty of it as anyone. Right? Yeah, it plays into, we've seen this over and over again throughout history, where these things happen and societies crumble and fail, and you start looking at what was going on behind the scenes and all that, and it all comes down to the stuff we're talking about. We lose our way, so to speak, because I was thinking about this probably 2 weekends ago. We've lost balance, right? So how did we get where we are? I was thinking about this after Charlie Kirk was murdered, right? How did we get to this point? It's something I was thinking about a lot, and I think one of the things is we've lost balance in our society. And what I mean by that is we are following, I'll use the women's terms, we're following the feminine. We're not following the masculine. In fact, we've eliminated the masculine completely. There's no balance between the two. It is 100 one way, 0 the other right now. And it's why I think we're at where we're at. And it would be just as bad, by the way, if it was the other way. When we've done good things as a humanity in general, it's when we've worked together.
So I actually had this conversation. I'm working on a video for an essay to turn into a video for it. I pissed off a feminist really badly. I said we should bring back the patriarchy, and she says, "What do you mean?"
Oh boy.
I said, when you look at it from a historical standpoint, the patriarchy or patriarchal society has done far more for the benefit of women than our current gynocentric one.
Mm-hmm.
What you call the patriarchy. First of all, the feminist revisionist definition of the patriarchy does not exist. The historical definition of the patriarchy does exist, and it was created for the betterment of society for the most part. And it has done far more for the betterment and safety of women and children than any other form ever. And that is even talking about how even in a patriarchal society, you have microcosms. So you have a patriarchal society, but you have an oligarchy. You have a patriarchal society, but you have a totalitarian government. And in a patriarchy, the men were expected to carry the heavy loads. They were expected to lead, but they also had all the responsibilities that went along with that. That's the thing that women always don't see, is they see a man in power and they think either one, he crawled over women to get there, or he gets all this privilege. But they don't see the responsibilities that go with that privilege. That happened with the 19th Amendment. Women wanted the privilege to vote without any of the responsibility that went along with it.
And still do.
And still do, by the way. The invisible labor that we were talking about earlier. How privileged are you as a woman that you do not see what men do to make your life comfortable? That is privilege. You're arguing from a place of privilege. You're saying the men need to be doing more because I want to do less. I want a more comfortable life at the expense of men. That is the most privileged fucking position you could possibly take, because only the privileged are that blind. Privilege is invisible to those who have it, and to those who have had it too long, equality feels like oppression. And women today in society in the West are the most privileged fucking group of people in the entire history of humans ever. And we are so privileged that we don't even realize we're privileged. And I will give feminism credit where it's due. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. They have the best fucking PR team of all time, because they have managed to dress up privilege and wealth and all of that as oppression and sold it back to us for the past 50 years. That takes skill.
And they're masters at it, right?
And they're masters at it.
I mean, by far the best, I think, in history, to be blunt. But kind of bringing us all back to what we were talking about. Again, what you were just saying directly goes back to what we started the show with, which is women don't see or acknowledge anything men do, right? They take it for granted. They turn the power on. They charge their phones and make their little diss videos on TikTok or wherever, Insta or whatever.
About how they don't need men.
Every single part of that they wouldn't have without men. You'd have no electricity. You'd have no water, right? You would have no food. You would have nothing to live in. You would have nothing, literally nothing, if it wasn't for men. We do all the hard work. Are there women that do some things here and there? Absolutely. I'm not saying we do it all, but 95% of it we do. And women have lost the ability to recognize that as a group. They
privilege.
Because of the privilege. That's exactly where I was going with it. Because of their privilege. Thank you. They've become so privileged that they take it for granted, and then they get upset when they lose something.
Because equality feels like oppression to those who are used to privilege for too long.
See how I tied that all together? Wasn't it pretty smart of me? And the fix, in my opinion, it'll never happen. Never happen. Men need to just walk off the job.
It'll never happen.
It'll never happen. But if we picked a week, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, January 1st of 2026, men are calling out sick. It would not be weeks. It would not be days. It would be about 2 hours at most. They would scream for us to come back.
Which is hilarious, because Iceland tried this shit with women, where a whole bunch of women didn't.
Everybody knows about it.
And it was like, oh, today's a quiet day. No HR complaints. No.
And the thing is, it wouldn't even take every man. About 5 to 10% is all it would take. The stores would be empty. Power would shut down. Water would shut down. There would be no water coming out of the tap. You wouldn't be able to flush your toilets. In 2 hours, it would happen, because everything is monitored and maintained by men. And people don't understand that. Are there some women that do these things? Sure. There are women police officers. They do an amazing job. All the props and power to them for what they do. Full credit. There aren't enough of them to protect society. Not even remotely close. Criminals would have a field day if men walked off the job as policemen. Who's going to put out the fires?
That the woman started by leaving her
I'm 200. Yeah, I'm 280 pounds. Curtis is about the same. You're gonna tell me some 5'3", 300-pound chick's gonna get me out of a building that's burning? Yeah,
not a snowball's chance in hell.
Dream on. Okay, I applaud women firefighters. I'm not trying to diss them, but let's deal in reality here. They cannot do what we do biologically. That's not slamming them in any way. That's just acknowledging reality. 2 hours is all it would take. I'm telling you, that's all it would take. But men will never do it because men are too
honorable.
Yeah.
So there's this
country just said truckers. That's all it would take. He's right.
Well, here's the funny part. You guys are echoing this real message, this pattern. It just keeps recycling over and over and over in the chat, and that is men are blamed because they go out and they provide and what they provide for. They don't provide just for their immediate family, but they provide for their community, and they provide for everyone there in the community as a whole. Then what we're running into, and you see it in the chat, is this feministic look that is where women go, hey, you need to be providing for just us. But here's the problem with that. Here's the big problem that women are not seeing with this whole thing. Watch what happens if that's what happens. You abandon the community will not help you.
Well, you're seeing it play out
Oh,
as
yeah.
we're right now, because men
Right.
are walking away from the community. They're not working. Everybody talks about the 7 million men that have walked away from working. That number is way higher than 7 million. I'm telling you right now.
Well,
higher.
they're walking away from other things. They're walking away from helping women who are on the side of the road with
Everything.
your tire blown out. They're stopping women from drowning because the women are.
They're sitting down and not giving pregnant women the seat on the subway.
And I argue, nor should they right now.
Nor should they. You wanted equality.
Right.
Play
And
stupid
here's
games,
the funny
win
part.
stupid prizes.
You still want them to contribute and do everything that their masculinity led them to do, but then you bitch about everything that they are doing.
It's toxic masculinity.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
You know what it is?
It's
toxic masculinity is really toxic feminism.
Well, yeah. And toxic masculinity is what built everything you see around you. Understand that, ladies, right? And I know our audience buys into that, but they just cannot get there. And the only way we're going to get them there, and like Country said about the truckers, if the truckers just said, yeah, we're done for a week.
This one's spot on.
If your 200-pound husband is in a burning house, he's in the wrong location.
Yep. That's the expectation, right? That's the expectation we're setting everyone up for. That's the problem. We're not really thinking these things through from a perspective of, as a society, wait a minute. Maybe if I'm a woman, I should focus on my immediate family. But maybe I should also focus on the fact that and understand that my husband has got to go off and do this stuff for this community also, because guess what? What if we are in that position and we need someone from our community to help us, i.e. fire department, i.e. law enforcement, i.e. someone else? Come on.
I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, and this is the clip they're going to use. But one of the things that the anti-suffragettes preached about, and my great-grandmother was one, was that they did not want women to get involved with politics. That was one of the biggest reasons they didn't want the federal right to vote.
You're going to step in it. Oh, boy. Go
because
ahead.
they said that if women get involved with the federal right to vote, the macrocosm versus the microcosm, women's places in the home, we manage our own, we take care of our small little communities, we're good at that. But when we try and branch out and do a man's job, this happens.
My grandmother said the same thing.
A lot of women have said the same thing.
A lot of women have said the same thing. There were actually more anti-suffragettes than there were suffragettes. The only problem with the suffragettes is they were loud and belligerent.
Yeah,
so
so
like Sam Adams.
Yeah, so like Quantum is saying, that's a quote from the Los Angeles. I knew where that quote came from, right? But it speaks volumes about how they think of men, right? When you're talking about a chief saying something like that, when you think about just women in general saying, well, it's toxic masculinity to blah, 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 fill in the blank, right? Okay, well, it's also toxic masculinity that's up on the pole in the middle of a hurricane, fixing the line so that you'll have power. So if you want to cut out toxic masculinity, we got to cut that part out too. Oh, that's not what we want. That's not what we're saying. No, it's exactly what you're saying. Right?
Well, it's Schrodinger's feminist, isn't it?
Pretty much. Right. They they'll lose their minds over the boardroom. But when it comes to the floor, they don't want to talk about it. Right.
They want equal representative in the C-suites, the air-conditioned, nice places. In other words, they want the what is it? The power of men, the or the prestige of men, the power of women, and the responsibility of children.
Very much.
And they want the recognition again of what they think the male power represents, but they don't want the male corresponding male responsibility.
Mhm.
And we see
Exactly.
this repeat over and over again. I have said it constantly. Women want to be the head of the household, but they're not willing to accept the role, responsibilities of the head of the household. And it's not just financial. That's something that baffles me about women. They're like, well, I'm the head of the household because I have the higher paying job. No, you're not. You might be contributing more money, yes, but you're not the head of the household. Your husband is still the head of the household. He's the leader. He's willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the whole. Women will ruin a family because they're selfish. They'll ask for a divorce.
Their
They'll
happiness
leave their
comes before
children.
everyone else.
Their
Yeah.
happiness comes before everybody else's.
Everyone
So don't
else.
sit there and tell me that you're the head of the fucking household. Because part of being the head of the household is sacrificing for the greater good. And most women can't do that. They can't sacrifice for anyone other than themselves.
And the classic example of that is family court, right? Men are spending, on average, about $4 billion a year fighting to stay in their children's lives. But yet every woman out there goes, well, if he showed more effort, if he cared about the children, he would fight more. No, the issue is, why are you making him fight at all?
Well, then
Forget about him. The harm you're doing to your children is far greater than you're doing to your revenge on your ex. You are literally destroying your children's lives, and you don't care because you only care about yourself.
Well, you hate your ex more than you love your children. But not only that, it goes back to invisible labor. Is they always say that men, if dads put in more effort, except they do, their effort is just invisible unless in parental court.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless the care you give your child is mom shaped or mother shaped or feminine shaped, it's completely ignored. They'll sit there and say, well, he never came to recital. No, because he was working his ass off so that the kid could afford recital.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know what shoe size the kid is because he's at work working his ass off. And you know how many times my kids went through shoe sizes in any given month, especially when they're that small. Yes, he's forgetting names like pediatricians and whatnot because he's not the one making the doctor's appointment. But guess what? He's working his ass off so that you can afford the copay for that doctor's appointment. But somehow that is all not considered care and nurturing when it comes to family court, despite the fact that you would not be able to be care and nurturing if he weren't footing the financial bill for it. But it's ignored. It's invisible labor. It's not noticed.
And what's interesting is family court argument that they've made, right, going back to the 10-year years, is that it's the man's job to do all those things you're talking about. But yet we're also going to punish him and villainize him for doing the very things that they're saying he's supposed to do. Right? So he's supposed to go earn money. Okay, well, he's doing that. Yeah, but we're going to take his kids away from him and never let him see them again because he's out earning money. That's his priority. You just told him it was his priority. Yeah, but this is different. I mean, and I've had this argument with judges. I've had this argument with God knows how many politicians, right? And they're so freaking blind to the illogic of their argument. You just said to me that a man's job should be to provide for the family. Yes, I did. Okay, but you're also saying to me you're going to penalize him because he's out providing for his family. Well, yeah. Where's the win here? How do men get out of that?
And if he didn't provide for his family, if he were a stay-at-home house husband and she worked, well, then
he's a loser.
Well, then he's a loser.
Yeah, I mean, every woman out there will call him a loser. I mean, you hear, I'm not going to take care of a man. Okay, well, why is it our job to take care of you? It's not anymore. It's 2025, right? It's why that you hear all these women out there. Well, I'm a catch. I pay my mortgage. I own my own house. I pay for the lights. Who cares,
You're supposed to. It's called being an adult.
Doesn't make you, it makes you nothing. That's not true. Yeah, it is.
Well, then they talk about the irony is that then they talk about how men want to be congratulated for the bare minimum. Being an adult, paying your own bills, putting gas in your car,
None of
all of
that crap.
that. No, that's the bare minimum called being an adult and not a burden to society. And women want fucking praise for it.
Oh, the first thing.
I am a strong, independent woman. Well,
Yeah,
you're independent. I wouldn't call you strong.
I can pay for the gas in my car, so can he. Yeah, but that's different. That's bare minimum. So if it's a bare minimum when he does it, but you want the coven to give you 5,000 likes on your video. Yes. Okay, got it. And they wonder why men are walking away, right? You know, it's funny. We were talking about men walking away from society. You're seeing it play out. Society is doomed because men are walking away from this bullshit. I'll be interested to see. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime because we were talking, would men walk away? They're walking away from a lot of stuff. At what point are we going to reach the tipping point where society collapses? I honestly don't think we're that far from it. But
no, but you see that men are starting to walk away because you have women projecting the fact that women can't find good men onto men by the made up male loneliness epidemic.
oh, that
Just
one.
as mythical as the wage gap or the pink tax. Just throwing that out there. Because that whole, first of all, it came from an opinion piece, but the opinion existed because women who are looking for male partners can't find any. And so they assume that if we are lonely and desperate and have too many cats and boxed wine habits, then that means that the men must simultaneously also be lonely. And the thing is, men aren't, because
they're thriving.
well, historically speaking, only a small percentage of men married. They were fine on their own. So in any given community, only the men of means who could support a wife and child, because that's their birth control wasn't an option back then. Only the men who were successful enough and wealthy enough to support a wife and the children that would come with a wife could marry. Most men did not marry, so it was only a very select few. So men have been fine on their own for eons. It's only very recently that marriage opened up as a possibility to so many men, and now we're going back to our roots, so to speak, and women are freaking out. We're projecting our inability to find mates and thinking, well, if we're lonely, they must be lonely too. No, honey, that's not how that works. And women are horrible at projecting. We're very, very bad. We're very, very good at it.
I was just saying you're good at it.
You're good at it, but I mean, we have a horrible habit.
Well, I know what you mean.
We have a horrible habit of projecting. I mean, we project harder than the freaking bat signal.
I got to clip that one. That's a good one. Yeah, again, you're spot on with it all. It's, women are getting.
Somebody wanted to see the husky.
Yeah, there's Sansa, right?
Yes, Sansa.
It's interesting to see how women are panicking more and more, right? Because women are not dumb. I mean, for all their traits, they're not dumb. I think they know what they've done. The problem is they don't know how to get out of it, right? They've played this game for basically my lifetime, which is, I'm 62 years old. They've backed themselves into a corner, painted themselves in, and they don't know how to get out of it because the ones that are trying, the Lindsays of the world, are doing what they can, but they know the coven is going to come for them, right? Because most women aren't at that point. And it's just a never-ending cycle. They have trapped themselves in the corner. They have no way out at this point. And men, rather than getting mad, are like, F you, see ya, have a nice life. Go play with your cats.
They could get out of the corner if they wanted, but they would have to say three words. I was wrong.
But even then, Lindsay, there are women that are doing that. And they're savaged. You being the prime example of that. Savaged by other women.
Well, I would actually argue that the women like myself who are doing that, we never put ourselves in the corner in the first place. So we don't have to actually admit that we did anything wrong because, at least in this regard, we didn't put ourselves in the corner in the first place.
You know what I mean, though, right?
Well, yes, but yeah, I mean, as well as I know that Dan gets a lot of hate.
No.
I get triple what he gets from
True.
angry women who are pissed that I stepped
Especially from women. Yeah.
off, the plantation and dared say something against the coven.
And
What, Curtis?
that's the problem.
So what's funny is, this is like the equivalent of, okay, so Republicans and Democrats getting into fights with each other. It's kind of like hilarious because it's always happening. But what's funny is when a Democrat calls out another Democrat, that's what Lindsay gets. Or a Republican calls out another Republican, that's what Lindsay gets.
They come for them.
They come for them, right?
They come for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that. It's funny because I think it was Monday I released a video on Erica Kirk, right? Which I was doing my best to honor her and respect her and praise her and all that stuff. Oh, some of the vitriol I got from women. And I'm like,
she is being raked over the freaking coals
by women. I'm like, and it's what, I had done a prior video about it. And that's what drove me to make that video. Because I got an email from a woman. Just, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. Just shredding her. And I'm like, you don't even know her, first of all, right? But what that woman has been through and what, her immediate response, what was it, a day later, 2 days later, she made that first video, which was amazing, right? And where she's gone from there. I didn't watch this whole thing this past Sunday, but I've seen clips of it. I couldn't do what she's doing. I'll be honest with you, right? For her to sit there and say, I forgive him, there is zero chance I could do that. There is absolutely no chance I could do that. And I sat back after seeing that because I watched it later that night. I saw that clip. And that's why I made the video I made, because I admire the hell out of her. And I'm appalled at the venom, the hate, just the vile things that women are saying to her. Are there some men doing it? Yes, there are. Obviously on a certain side of the aisle, okay? But it is 90% women. She is a mom. She is a widow. She's had her entire life destroyed. Forget the politics. Who cares about any of that? Just look at it on its face. And I had guys coming at it. Dan, you shouldn't be talking about politics. I'm not. In my video, I never mentioned politics. All I was talking about is what she had been through and what she's doing, right? And she's stepping up. She's CEO. I would think feminists in particular should be holding her up as the fucking paragon. Yes.
Because she did all of these wonderful things, and now they're all about how she is being performative in her grief. She never really loved him.
All this shit. I mean,
all it's horrible things. And the vitriol is coming from women.
And how do you tell me that women have a sisterhood after that?
We don't. It's a myth. The sisterhood is a myth.
It's a lie. It is a lie that women tell each other. And it goes back to, and we've talked about it how many times, what women say to your face and what they say to each other behind their back or about each other are two entirely different things. And it just, I don't care where you stand on Charlie Kirk. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. None of that matters. Let's just focus on what is happening to her as a human being. And it is by far women who are doing it. And it's appalling to me to see that. I grieve for her in that sense more than anything else. And yet she's a freaking rock, right? I mean, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. She's probably crying nonstop behind it. And as she should be, by the way, right? Don't mean that in a negative way at all, but for them to go at her in the way they're going at her, threatening to kill her. We need to get her children away from her. What? It ain't men saying this. It ain't the right saying this. And yet, all I hear is, you go, girl. Sisterhood. We work together. Bullshit.
No, because the minute you step off of the reservation or the plantation or whatever insert metaphor here, I mean, I'm not Erica Kirk by any means, but the things that I've been called a race traitor or a gender traitor. I have been called a traitor to my ovaries, which I don't quite understand that. Last I checked, my brain is up here, not down there. I have
for
been,
yourself.
well, yeah, I know you have a head north and south. Um,
Wow. That devolved quickly.
that escalated quickly. But I have been called I'm a horrible mother, or I hope that your children unalive. I hope that I have been told that obviously I wasn't raped enough, and that I should be raped again. I've gotten death threats. I've gotten all because I dare suggest that women might sometimes be part of the problem, or if not a majority of the problem, or that I dare suggest that men and boys deserve compassion the same way that any other human does. Like, compassion is not a limited resource. And for that, I get, vitriol and lambasted. And if that's just me and I'm small beans compared to Erica Kirk, and I've seen the comments that she's getting.
Oh, it's mind
It's
blowing to me.
like, how could you, and hatred is a disease. That's all I can think of. It's a madness and a disease because
it's exposing the hive mindset of women in general. It is.
So
it's exposed how poisoned we have become with our gynocentric society, which is another reason why we should have. I'm going to hate it for this. We should have stayed in the home, and what I mean by that is we should have stayed in our smaller area.
Yeah.
Rather than when we
stay in your lane is what you should say.
Stay in our lane.
Not in the home, in the lane.
So what's interesting to me is history does repeat itself, right? And we know this. What's interesting even more so is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But that's the problem with women is they'll align. Oh, men are our enemies. Go sisters. Guess what? Have any of you studied World War II and remember the USSR? Oh, really? What happened after World War II was over? We became mortal enemies with the USSR.
It was all kumbaya.
Oh, yeah. Kumbaya.
China.
Well, look, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Where that came from is really interesting because at the end of the day, we're not friends. We're doing something that is a mutually beneficial relationship here, even though we know we hate your guts. So it's a conditional relationship.
It's an alliance.
It's an alliance that is not. That's not supposed to be representative of what we're supposed to be really doing. And I think that's what's lost on folks. Go ahead, women, do it. Align with other women and bash men. But here's the thing. The minute that the men fall is the minute all of you fall.
And that's what we're seeing play out in society right now, right?
Right.
They have aligned to bash the men for 50 years now. And men are like, okay, we're not going to fight you anymore. We're just going to go do our thing. See ya. And now women are like, wait, that's not what we wanted. Too bad. Game over.
That's what you said.
You told us that.
We're the late stage Roman Empire right about now.
Well, it's do what you mean and mean what you say.
We're giving women exactly what they want, and they don't like it. Too bad. So sad. Live with it. All right, we only got about a minute left. This was a good show. I like this show.
Like this show.
I'm pretty proud of this one. So, yeah, lots of stuff coming. Like I said, we'll be in DC in early November. We'll get the details out on that as we can. And if you're in that area, hey, who knows? Maybe we'll do a meet and greet. We'll see. I actually have to reach out to a couple people that are creators that I know are in the DC area, and see if they want to come and join us for a little coffee or whatever. I don't drink, so it'll be coffee. So yeah, that's coming. Coming. We'll have more stuff on reforging families, which we really probably should do a whole show on that. It's soon. Soon. Lots of stuff coming. All right. Wrap it up, Lindsay, because it's 5:30.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.